Welcome to FrankTalks People of the Week segment. I'm Zoltan King. This week's Person of the Week is simply Susan. Montreal-born Susan works in the writing industry. This style of life accommodates her particular situation, which she has no problem telling others about. Here's her story.
While I was still as a copywriter for a retail chain, I was in a very bizarre water skiing accident and lost my left leg, just above the knee. I had the accident when I was 22, and I decided to freelance full-time when I was, 28, 29. I would say the beginning years of getting used to life with one leg, I was very happy to stay in the status quo. I wasn't looking for to change anything, to rock the boat at that stage. I was just finding my way and getting used to doing things, a new way. And the security and the stability was quite important at that point, of having a full-time, job, that type of thing. And I would say for most people with disabilities, that is still a priority. I think my early years were spent on trying not to be a statistic. I wanted things to remain exactly the way they were. It's once you become, I guess, a little bit more when the idea of a physical disability isn't the first thing you think of when you wake up in the morning. When that happens, when you become accustomed to it, and I don't want to use the word move on, but it becomes just part of you, like anything else, that you begin to look at other options. At least that was the case for me. Probably the most difficult thing was the perceptions, the stares, that's always the worst. Planning things became second nature. Checking things out. If I go to a restaurant, does it have a bathroom that's not up a flight of stairs type of thing. I think the worst, though, that even that wasn't all that much of a problem. The worst was the social issues. The idea that I am somehow different. I knew that when I walked down the street, I was aware of everybody looking at me. I began to realize that having one leg was not as much of an issue as I was probably thinking that it was, not having any experience with it before. You get used to things. It becomes like a normal thing, like wearing glasses, I guess. So it was in my early 40s, and I decided, my God, I've been doing all these things and I still don't have a degree. It bothered me that I didn't have that degree. And I was also interested in TV and film, and thought, gee, maybe that would be an interesting another branch for my writing or whatever. And so I got into the communication studies program and did that part-time until I graduated in 2000. When I went back to school in my 40s, it was like seeing life anew, shaking up preconceived ideas. It was a great experience. I write for over the years, for major magazines like consumer mags like Canadian Living, Chatelaine. Nowadays I'm writing more for professional and trade journals. It was tough. It was really tough. I found obviously I had to cut back on my work. I was still doing freelance writing, but I couldn't take on big projects because of the academic demands. And when you haven't been to school in a long time, getting into that whole study thing was just, a bit of a change. There were times also that it was interesting, because being with people that are half your age, in the one hand it's a challenge, because I've raised 2 stepsons, and there's always that thing, these are like my kids. But I think I got over that perception. And I realized that this was a great opportunity for me to learn how another generation thinks. It was an eye-opener. It built awareness. Being in a library, to me, is like being in a candy store. I recognized that I really do like learning. I love it. It's a passion. It doesn't always have to be in an academic setting, but it's one of my primary passions. I enjoy the mental stimulation. I enjoy the different type of people you meet there in university. It challenges all kinds of... I was challenged in many areas in terms of preconceived belief systems. It just gets you thinking, and to me, it woke me up in many ways. I love the investigation part of it. It's like it's part of the learning thing, I think. I learn so much with each article that I write, from the people I interview, the research that I'll do, say, online or at a library. It's kind of pigging out in that candy store. It's an opportunity to learn every time I do an article. That's the addiction of it. I think I'm addicted to it. I do want to keep pushing the boundaries. That's what makes life interesting.
When asked where she sees herself in the future, her response would seem a little cliché, but it is actually very well thought out. She plans on joining an artist colony in Key West, Florida with her laptop to work in a climate without access issues in the winter. This was Frank Talks People of the Week segment. I'm Zoltan King. Be well.